welcome to Soundtrack Talk, my podcast where I talk about video games and their soundtracks and music. Today I have my friend here, Paddy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, it is me, Paddy.
It is indeed him, Paddy.
Esteemed guest.
Very cool to have you here today.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
So, we are going to be discussing Wii Sports.
That's right.
So for those of you who don't know, the Nintendo Wii is a big old console. It was quite popular. I'd be slightly surprised if you hadn't heard of it. But it was sort of slightly revolutionary because it had like motion control with the remotes, so like the whole selling point was that you would stand up in your living room and move around to play games. So of course they made a sports game, and Wii Sports has 5 different games in it. There's boxing, bowling, golf, baseball, and tennis, I believe. And yeah, we'll discuss the music a little bit.
Well, I mean, like you said, the Wii was just like a thing you'd have in your living room. It's not really like that powerful as a console. It was focused more on the gameplay and like the motion controls, which like Wii Sports was a release title that came with the console, so that's part of the reason why it sold so much.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the 4th best-selling game, just like in terms of sales, like of all time, which is, considering you had to have a Wii to play it, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it's like, there'd be times where, because we had a Wii, obviously, I didn't just pick up Wii Sports. I'm quite in. Did you not have one?
No, I actually never had a Wii growing up. I know,
yeah,
I
but
was
it would
in
be
the
like
minority.
if we had like family over or something, like occasionally we play the Wii.
That's what I think.
Everything about it is just like very intuitive. It's like,
yeah,
in all the like promotional material, it is just like a family just like playing tennis or something.
It's genuinely really. It's so much of a party console, I'd say. Because whenever I went to my friends' houses, they all had Wiis and we all play like Mario Kart and Wii Sports and stuff.
Exactly.
Well, maybe if I didn't need one at home then, if I just played it at other people's houses. But yeah, like you said, it was released with the Wii, as in Wii Sports was released with the Wii. And I think it's actually quite a good introduction to what the Wii can do, because like prior to that, I don't think there had been anything that sort of revolutionary. I want to say revolutionary, sort of just new, out of the box sort of gaming.
Well, yeah, just kind of that's the quirk of what the Wii is with the motion controls and stuff.
I mean, since then there's been stuff similar, but before then there was not.
I mean, yeah, it's like in terms of how it's formatted, it basically is like a tech demo.
Yeah, to be honest.
Like it's just 5 games
to sort of show off what you can do with the Wii.
Yeah, and just kind of they just had to fill in between. It's like very just the gameplay is just like there.
Yeah.
And it's not like an open world game or something like that where you can just it's
in
all
a
cinematic
way,
and stuff.
Yeah, in a way, I feel like back then, like release titles on consoles did a sort of much better. Well, no, I don't want to say much better job, but I feel like they did make more of a fleshed out game to release as pretty much a tech demo, because I don't know, this is all my opinion, but you know, for like the Valve Index, they made Aperture Hand Lab, which I've played, and it's meant to be just a demo, but that's not really like a full-on game. It's just like a tiny little few minutes long demonstration, and I think they're doing the same thing for the Steam Deck as well, with the Aperture Desk Job, which is also just a really short thing. So, I don't know. Good job, Nintendo.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, nice one. Made a tech demo into the 4th best-selling game of all time.
Yeah, literally.
Made that look easy. Getting onto the
actual
the
music.
soundtrack talk.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah, I mean, because like we said, the nature of it is just so tech demo-y. It's kind of it's largely just bits of songs which just kind of loop around. So
yeah,
largely like some of them, like the tennis selection one is like 3 chords that just go up and down. and just keeps going round. But it's like, in the same way, it is catchy, like it doesn't really get old that quick, and they did part of why I think the composition of it is so good is because stuff like that, like we said, it would just be like just kind of just become constant background noise in your living room while you're playing it, and it like that's part of the character of why I like the game so much, because it is probably a nostalgia thing as well.
Oh, definitely.
But like all of these songs like just really capture like the mood of the game, and at the same time they're not obnoxious. Like a lot of it is very easy listening, and I think
Definitely.
it's just
yeah. So I think, like you say, the music isn't really forgettable. Like it's really catchy. Like you say, it's good for background music. But there's a lot of things that go into that though, because if you sort of, I hesitate to name any examples, mainly because I can't think of any, because generally video game music is quite good. But if you have like a background theme that's not done well, it can easily, like extremely easily, become forgettable or annoying or both.
Yeah.
Or sort of stuck in your head for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because like, there's one thing. My mum always gets on me about playing Minecraft, because every time I used to play it on my Xbox, she'd be like, "Oh, it's that music again." I hate that. I hate she genuinely just like always gets on me for playing Minecraft, and I'm like, "I like the music, it's really good." And she's like, "No, nope. Please stop."
No, I don't like it.
never. Funnily enough, never had that problem with Wii Sports. Like the Minecraft soundtrack's really good. One of the like.
It is really good.
I
made a whole episode on it.
Oh, funnily enough. But like, it's just the way that the Wii Sports stuff is just like perfectly just sits there. Like, if you listen to it, it is really good, but you can easily just not pay attention to it, and it just kind of like just works really well for
it. Just
the format of it.
It sort of enhances it without taking anything away or drawing too much attention.
Definitely. It doesn't like stand out so far as to be obnoxious, but it's just kind of it's just chill little tunes.
Yeah, but the sort of downside to having a bunch of different like games, like 5 different sports, and they all have the different soundtracks for like the like game mode selection or results screen or while you're playing, is that the soundtrack as a whole for the whole game can be a little bit fragmented.
Yeah,
like,
you definitely wouldn't just listen to it front to back like
no.
you could with the Minecraft OST.
Yeah, like it doesn't sort of... There's not really any need for it to sort of relate to itself in that way, because it's not telling a story. Like, it's not an open world story game or RPG or anything like that.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't stand up for itself as like pieces of music outside of the context. Like out of context, it's just like, this is just a loop. Like,
yeah, the way the main theme does the loop, I think it's actually really clever.
Definitely.
So if you listen to the main theme, it's sort of, you sort of hear it, and it sounds as if it's going places, like it's changing key and it's getting brighter, and it goes through like, or is it like three keys?
3 keys.
3 keys. And then at the end, it's just setting up the cadence to go back to the key at the beginning. But I think that's done really well, because sometimes it's really noticeable when a loop is really repeated. Like, you sort of hear it and then you're like, oh wow, that's a really short loop, and it's really obvious that it's just a tiny loop that they made to fill in this menu theme. But I don't know, I think they did a good job with all the chords. And there's some really jazzy chords in there as well.
Yeah, it's like a lot of like jazz influenced chords and stuff, like weird inversions and things. But like that doesn't kind of go too overboard. Like the melodies are still simple, which is quite good, because it kind of, using chords like that means it's not like predictable in the same way if you just had like a 4-chord loop and you were just like playing it over and over again. Like a lot of the other pieces, like this only really applies for the main theme, where it's like it really does go through quite kind of adventurous harmony, but at the same time it's still quite simple. Like the main melodic motifs they're very catchy and very simple, and they find themselves kind of spread throughout the rest of the game as well. But
that's another thing I wanted to mention. I feel like this is a very very Nintendo-esque sort of way of composing. So they have all these jazz-influenced funky chords, but the theme is really recognizable, and then all through the other themes you can hear the fragments of the main theme, because that's the case in like all of the Animal Crossing games as well.
The composer Kazumi Tataka
Yeah.
for this was largely involved in the Animal Crossing games as well.
I think he was largely involved in like all of the Nintendo games.
He runs Nintendo.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Mario games are like.
Yeah. It's sort of weird that Nintendo have sort of made a whole genre of game music. Because when you hear a piece of music, that thing, like that adjective, it's kind of Nintendo-y. It comes to mind.
Like you.
It comes to mind.
You know what it means.
Yeah, exactly. You know what it means.
As vague as it sounds. Can't really pinpoint anything, but it just kind of.
Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is that the main theme, people have sort of noticed its similarities between pieces of classical music.
Really?
Yeah, so you know the piece Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring?
Oh, by Bach.
Yes, that one.
I am well aware.
Yes. Do you see how it sort of sounds alike? For reference, I'm gonna put links to these in the description, so go and listen to the two and see what you think. I'm not sure, because sometimes I feel like it's only sort of in passing, like the main theme sort of in passing sounds like one particular bar in it, but I don't think it's exactly based off it.
I mean, it's not very Bach-y in harmony.
Well, no. Obviously not. But can you imagine Bach using these chords?
Oh, using well, yeah, I think no. If this is the case, I think someone should make reharmonizing Wii Sports main theme, but as a Bach chorale.
Bach chorale Wii Sports main theme. Maybe I should try that.
Yeah, it's the do.
Yeah, that bit.
If it was in a different key, you'd probably not notice it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's quite subtle.
It does. I do kind of. It kind of that one bit kind of does though. To be fair.
Exactly that. It's only that one bit though, so I don't think people are sort of basing the claim that they sort of based it off classical music on anything. But that's just my opinion.
Like, what are these?
It's only like a bar.
Yeah, who made the video where it was like, when are we going to run out of music?
Oh.
Just like if you exhaustively go through every like possible melody and just like, when are we going to run out?
I know.
That's kind of like a case of that. It's like that was clearly they are similar, but that's clearly not deliberate because they're completely different in every other way.
Quick pause so I can look up the video. I put my keyboard clacks in there. Oh, it was vsauce. What?
Was it? I thought it was vsauce because I didn't think it was going to be.
No, I thought it was a music channel.
I didn't think it was Adam. I knew it was Adam Neely or vsauce.
So I don't know. That sort of surprised me because I thought it would be by a music channel. It wasn't. It's by vsauce, who's actually also a very good YouTube channel. If you haven't heard of him, you should go look it up. I'll also link the video in the description.
Speaking of music's choice of music.
Oh, it's very good.
It's very exquisite.
I do love vsauce music.
I don't know. I think I might be getting used to that. Might have been vsauce 2 or 3. I think I listened to a podcast with them on it, and they say they start the videos, like the structuring of it, with the music.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and I was like, that's such a weird creative process to make a like.
That's cool though.
10-minute video essay and start with the soundtrack.
They got their priorities straight.
I know, honestly.
Yeah, so this video, it basically explains that there's not an infinite number of tunes you can make up with like the sort of musical conventions that we have in place. And there's a bunch of calculations in this video where they find out it is a massive number, obviously, but it's not infinite. So eventually, if people keep creating new tunes and melodies, they will eventually have to start reusing some. So it is.
This is where you get to the point where Wii Sports is the same as Chizu, Joy of Man's Desire.
Yeah. So basically, that's just the thing. The whole point of this video is just to say it's not always a case of plagiarism or copying or inspiration or sort of reference at all, even if two things sound alike.
It just be like that.
Yeah, it just happens sometimes because of maths.
Yeah, I think was that in that video where they mentioned like I think it was 2 people like copyrighted every single like 8-bar melody.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like terabytes of MIDI, which like MIDI was like developed it's quite an old like system. How do you describe those things? As like MIDI's like it's an old like system, but like because MIDI came out in the I think either late 80s or 90s.
I don't know about this.
It's still largely unchanged from where it was before because it just like they future-proofed it really well, and it's still kind of like it still works. I think there's talks of like MIDI 2, but it's not like
MIDI 2.
It's not needed.
Yeah.
But like to have files which are like terabytes of MIDI, that is an obscene amount of music.
Yeah, that's so much. So what did you say they did? They copyrighted?
I think no, well like they just kind of wrote out every melody or something.
Yeah.
And then copyrighted it, but like in a good way. Not in like you're infringing on our thing, as in like, because you know there's all those court cases about
oh, there's so many.
There's like you plagiarized me, and it's just like these chords are similar.
Yeah.
This is like
Adam Neely has a lot of good videos on that.
I think that might have been in an Adam Neely video where I'm confusing the vsauce video with the Adam Neely one. I think they just kind of merged together in my head.
They're both good channels. I'll put links.
Yeah, where it's just like
I think I do know what you're talking about though, because I think I watched it.
Just going to court just to be like just try to confuse a jury to be like, yes, they're copying me, because it's like technically the music's the same, but the circumstances in which they copied a really old song, it's just like, no, it's just the fact both songs aren't very complicated, so they just ended up being the same.
That's the thing. That's a massive thing in pop music, because this whole sort of chord progression, the common one, the one that Axes of Awesome did their thing on, where it's just four chords. Yeah. Wow, we're really referencing a lot of videos that I'm gonna link in the description. You should honestly
this description gonna be long.
This description gonna be long, but yeah, do watch all of these videos because they're really interesting. Basically, Axes of Awesome showed that a large bunch of pop songs just use the same 4 chords, and then basically in Adam Neely's videos he sort of highlights particular cases where one artist is like, oh, but I use these chords first and your melody sort of sounds the same. But honestly, I don't think that's court worthy. I don't think you can copyright music unless it's exactly the same, which obviously it's not.
Yeah, to musicians it's completely nonsensical.
Genuinely.
It's just such a like, when you're taking music to court, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, honestly.
Could just not do that.
It's like the whole thing's about like arrangements. Like if you arrange music for a living, then that's literally you taking someone else's music and changing it up a bit. Like surely that's much more court-worthy than saying, oh, their melody kind of sounds the same as mine.
Yeah, because it's art, isn't it? At the end of the day,
it's sort of, you're putting your own sort of interpretation on it.
Yeah, it's what is fair use at the end of the day. If it's not like, you can't just unhear something if you want to like...
Yeah.
If you get inspired by something, you can't just be, oh, that's too similar to something.
Yeah, like if you put me on the spot and said, like, think of a melody, the chances are that's gonna sound like something that I've heard before in the past.
Oh, I don't know if you ever compose something and then you think you come up with something, but it's actually something else.
Oh, yeah.
That is so annoying.
Literally. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is quite the tangent, but I'm really enjoying this.
I mean, podcast is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, wiisports soundtrack isn't very long. There was only so much we could say.
I kind of like this sort of philosophical discussion.
Oh, no, it's good.
It's really good.
Yes. Me when the chords are the same.
I actually based my A-level composition on a string quartet that I'd heard before. And it's not even that sort of vague. I literally listened to the string quartet and I thought, wow, okay, the sort of accompaniment movement of the viola and cello is really cool. I'm just gonna take that. And then there's a point in my the same composition where I change key. And genuinely, like this, I'm not joking. I can't make this up. So you know the bit in the ending song of Portal, Still Alive, where it changes key? I genuinely use the exact same key change.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from the same chord in the same key, the exact same key change. But like that's the thing, like you can't copyright a key change. Like
exactly.
you can't
in a different
copyright
context,
stuff like that.
it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Like I did the same thing in my composition where I'd be like, these chords are nice. I'ma have them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
you have to just put your own spin on it.
I mean, I think I did one where I actually voiced it the same because I couldn't think of anything better, and I was just like, oh, I'll just keep it the same.
That's fair enough.
But like, in like a fair use way, if it's like, what do they call it? What do they call it where you use someone else's content, but it like you change it enough that it's a new thing?
Transformative?
Transformative,
That's
yeah.
it, yeah.
If it's transformative enough, even if you don't change it, but because it's in a musical sense, it will be completely different. Like
it's like saying, oh, I really like this artist's use of red and blue here. I'm just gonna use red and blue in my own painting. And then the original artist being like, you can't use red and blue. I copyrighted that.
Thing. That's my thing.
Like that is genuinely how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. It makes no sense in an art context.
Yeah,
like,
so
these are my colors. I use these colors.
You're not allowed to use oil paints because I already did that.
Gatekeep right along.
This sort of annoys me a lot though, because there's a lot of things about music in sort of general that either, I don't know, like the general populace or people who aren't really into it or don't study it or anything, they don't really get it. And I really hope that I can explain things like this whole thing. Like if you put it in an art context, you can see how ridiculous it sounds.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like perhaps the people on the jury of these like pop song copyright cases could be swayed by some smooth talking lawyer who doesn't actually understand what music is about.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I think. It's just kind of a blatant disregard for the
creative
intended
process.
the intended purpose of the systems in place.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like copyright is meant to protect like the artist from plagiarism, and it's just used by companies to like
punish small artists.
Punish anyone else trying to do anything that might slightly improve. It's like what Nintendo does with or kind of used to do a bit more.
Yeah.
Now we're back on track. Like the fact, like you would be scared to just put anything to do with Nintendo in any context, in anything, just for fears that you might get copyright struck. It's like, you're not making money off this.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the need?
Like that's the thing though, the state of online like content, what is it, like content's marked or whatever, what's the thing, I can't remember what it's called,
like DMCA copyright strike things.
Those things, the things that automatically scan videos for any piece of music.
Yeah.
I, like, even on my tiny Twitch channel, I'm too scared to play anything that's, like, vaguely could be copyrighted. Because of, I'm just scared of this massive looming threat of getting sued into submission or whatever.
Entity looms.
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's a shame that it's come to that. Obviously, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, this music that I'm playing in the background is totally my own composition and not copyrighted music that I'm using for my monetary gain.
It now.
Yeah, like I'm just having some music in the background, which I've credited anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely like when there's big money involved in stuff, it just kind of goes a bit wrong. It's like how copyright was originally meant to be like 30 years something, and then Disney just kept being like, can we extend it? And now it's like 150 plus the lifetime. No, it's like 100 years plus the lifetime of the author or something like that.
No, I wasn't surprised at that. I was surprised that it was only meant to be 30 years.
It was really not meant to be a long time, and then they just kept going. And then it was like, because you know how all the old Disney films are like old books that like didn't have any copyright protection, so they just remade it and then claimed the copyright on them, and then just kept extending it so people can't use it, because I think it was meant to be a thing. If it was the original copyright law was still in effect, like the first one. Like Star Wars would be public domain by now and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Oh
And there
yeah,
would be
of
nothing
course.
stopping like completely commercial, like any other company, like just making a Star Wars film.
Yeah. I had no idea it was Disney, but now thinking about it, that sort of makes sense.
That must have been a YouTube video. I can't remember how I know that. Probably Adam Neely again or something.
Ah.
No, it was CGP.
Oh, I love CGP Grey. I'll link to CGP Grey.
Yeah, it was.
Look at us mentioning other YouTube channels that are
So
brilliant.
much YouTube's so good. It's a shame it just kind of all the good stuff kind of sinks.
Speaking
And
of
the, like-
more YouTube-related videos you should watch, Tom Scott's got a good one about this whole copyright system. It's called YouTube's Copyright System Isn't Broken, the World's Is. And I will link that as well, because it sort of goes over what we just said in much, much, much more detail.
People who actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, people who actually know what they're talking about tackle these topics. People who actually did research.
Research is overrated.
Just have a chat. That's what podcast is about.
Exactly. If anyone's actually listening to this, comment, copyright these nuts.
I actually do that. I'm keeping that in.
That's the thing. It's like if you do a podcast and you edited it, then it kind of you tread the fine line of trying to make everything perfect. Like if you just commit to keeping everything in, then like
Oh yeah,
it comes a lot more naturally.
definitely.
I
yeah.
feel.
I feel like the first one I did, I edited out way too much.
I listened to it. I thought it was good. There was actually like it was interesting.
Thank you.
Nice.
I hope this one makes a good episode as well.
Oh, I don't know. We've gone off the rails.
Oh,
real
go
quick.
way out of.
We spend more time talking about other stuff than we have about the soundtrack.
But it's all music related. That's okay.
It's alright. We simply vibe.
Yes. So speaking of the soundtrack, is there
What's that?
anything? Speaking of the soundtrack,
That's how we're doing it now. Just straight back in.
I can't find a sort of what's the word? Transition. You know when you just forget English?
Oh, just forget a word.
Yeah.
Just be like, what's that? I did that earlier just now with transformative.
Well,
Completely escaped me.
I do that with a lot of words. So yeah,
I mean, the fact that like language exists in the first place is pretty cool.
that is pretty cool.
Humans be pretty sick. It's a shame they
Humans
all
pretty cool.
suck.
That's also very true.
I'm spitting right now.
Spin facts.
Somebody pull me off.
This has just gone to the sort of we live in a society podcast. So yeah,
Seriously, if everyone would just chill out and listen to the bowling OST wiisports, I think this whole fandango could get sorted out real quick.
that's true. You see, I agree with that statement. So yeah, anyway, speaking of the soundtrack, is there anything else that sort of like springs to mind? Oh, one thing I was gonna say, because Wii Sports was so successful, they did make more sequels and sort of stuff like that. So they did make a Wii Sports Resort, and then they made a Wii Sports Club, which is on the Wii U.
Yeah, I think that one's kind of more forgotten about.
That
because
one's
about 2 people bought the
Yeah,
Wii U.
yeah, I know. Poor Wii U. And then now they're announcing a Switch Sports, which is going to be out. Which I'm kind of tempted to get. They have badminton in it. I can't remember any of the other games that were in it.
Just badminton.
Oh, can you imagine? Switch
badminton.
Switch badminton.
I mean, yeah, the soundtrack for Resort is also very good.
Would you say it's quite similar? Like in the sort of...
Yeah, it's kind of less sparse. It's definitely more orchestrated. Like there's a lot more kind of. It's quite a bit less bare bones than. I mean, there's also just more sports as well.
Yeah, I
So
think, what is it? There's
by
like
that
12
logic, there's just
more soundtrack.
more music.
There has to be to sort of fill the gaps. I want to say another tangent, but don't you think it's quite cool that a lot of Nintendo music, especially a lot of music from Wii Sports, has sort of wormed its way into meme culture?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of like, especially like, stuff like the Mii theme and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the Wii Shop theme.
Oh yeah.
It's just kind of something about it just lends itself to, you know, everyone of that sort of. I mean, it's just such like a kind of thing that everyone knows about to some extent. So
that speaks to its sort of widespread reach, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of like everyone must have played Wii Sports at some point,
or at least any Wii game.
Seen it,
or seen it, or heard it, or something.
Definitely, yeah.
Or even just Nintendo. You'd be pretty hard pressed to find someone who's not heard of Nintendo at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boxing results theme is
stuff like Matt Woohoo being the most powerful man of all time.
Oh, Matt.
Exactly, just like
I love Matt.
It's simply just a me face. That and just a little thing. Everyone says he's the best at everything, but actually he's the lowest rated at tennis, and it kind of annoys me because he's only the max level boxing, I think.
Ah.
And
but I feel like boxing is more of the meme one.
That's true, because boxing does have the boxing results even do kind of slap.
Yeah. I feel like because this game has been out for so long, and people are still playing it, like people to this day are still finding out ways to like speedrun it or
like
or
the
do
what is it?
Wacky challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the Summoning Soul video about Wii Sports speedrun records. Like the fact that
I'll link that video.
a game which is like from 2006 and just it's like the fact that you can speedrun Wii Sports makes no sense.
I know. How do you
nothing is time based.
Yeah. And nothing has like a this is the end of the story sort of thing to go off.
No, it's literally just they play through the whole game.
Yeah.
Speedrunning just like it's the fact like you can't really talk bad about it because it just extends the longevity of so many games for so much longer.
I know.
Like
it's kind of an honor if your game is sort of
exactly. It's just like when the community is just like, yeah, this is a game we're gonna speedrun.
Yeah.
Because you could theoretically, if you can do it for Wii Sports, you can do it for literally any game.
Yeah.
It's just like
true. Well, we really have talked about a lot of tangential topics on this episode.
Definitely.
I think this might be a good place to round off.
What place are we even at? I've lost
track. Don't know.
What a chaotic episode.
I love it.
I can only apologize.
How dare you? It's all your fault. I'm joking.
I ruined soundtrack talk.
No. You have enhanced it with your creative additions.
My creative approach to not talking about the game soundtrack I brought up.
True, this was your idea.
Easy. Yeah, I mean, get trolled, I guess.
Yeah, I did in fact.
This whole episode has been a ruse.
Oh no.
I've been trolling you this whole time. I hate Wii Sports.
Oh no. What do I do now?
End the episode, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Cue the outro.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Come back next time where we have a guest who kind of knows what they're talking about.
Ah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
It'll be me again.
Oh, okay. Ah, nice surprise. Return of the King. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. I'm Jade. I have been your host. I was here with Paddy. Do you want to promote any of your stuff, if you have any stuff?
I have no stuff.
That's okay. Alright, I'll see you again next week or the week after. I don't know what the schedule is at this point. Thanks for listening. Bye!
Bye-bye.